scientific. It's the okay.
That is scientific. I call to order the 1612th meeting of the General Senate and the 11th meeting of the 47th session. Notice that this meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and the recording being publicly available on YouTube. I will now read the landing. The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment on sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq, through kinship alliances and dependency. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. Will the clerk please call the roll?
President Tripp.
Here.
VP Shelmerdine.
Here.
VP Baum.
Here.
VP Lehman. VP Thompson.
Here.
VP Fang. Director Erica. Here. Commissioner Stankovitz.
Here.
Representative Britton.
Here.
Advisor Sidelko.
Here.
Senator Vanderwood.
Here.
Senator Schultz.
Here.
Senator St. Pierre. Senator DeLorme.
Here.
Senator St. Lawrence.
Here.
Senator Levesque.
Here.
Senator Cowan.
Here.
Senator Centinelo.
Here.
Senator Inman.
Here.
Senator Dana.
Here.
Senator Ricker. Senator Smith. Senator Goodspeed.
Here.
Senator Zurab. Senator Vlatt.
Here.
Senator Van Beek.
Here.
Senator Madrid.
Here.
Senator Oldfield.
Here.
Senator Birdmark.
Here.
Senator Rivera.
Here.
Senator Weber.
Here.
Senator Seward.
Here.
Senator Rideout. Senator Soper.
Here.
Senator Zelaw.
Here.
Senator Collmore.
Here.
Senator Sparks.
Here.
Senator Crowdy.
Here.
Senator Whitehead. Senator Sutker. Senator Donovan. Senator Cummings.
Here.
Senator Joy.
Here.
Representative Pellet. Representative Brunner.
Here.
Representative Knapp.
Excuse.
Representative Karpinski.
Here.
Representative Fanco.
Here.
Representative Emery. Here. Representative Gamble.
Here.
Representative Abed.
Here.
Representative Tremblay.
Here.
Representative Farragut. Did I miss anybody?
I'm now looking for the approval of the 3/31/26 minutes and the annual budget special meeting minutes and this agenda. Senator Weber.
I move to approve the 3/31/26 minutes and this agenda.
Second.
I would ask the senator to read the agenda.
And the annual budget special meeting minutes and this agenda.
Hearing a second, it is the pleasure of the Senate. That is done. We'll now move to the general good and welfare, where any non-member may address the recess for no more than 5 minutes. Do we have any speakers? Seeing none and nothing under new senators' officers' appointments or club meeting, we'll then go into club maintenance for the Bedazzling Club for preliminary recognition. Is there a speaker? Hello.
I would be the president of the Bedazzling Club. My name is Natalie Murdoch.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your club, the members, and different events you plan on hosting?
So the Bedazzling Club would be basically a stress-free space for people to come bedazzle, and we're planning to do an event on certain days of the week. And just basically bring a little spark into people's lives. And we plan on hosting stuff like a decorated book cover, keychains, just anything, or like bedazzle something and swap with someone, a Yankee swap, just stuff like that.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Oldfield, have you guys held a meeting yet?
Not officially, but we have held events through CSI that had a lot of attendance and seemed to have a lot of interest in bedazzling.
Any more questions for our speaker? Please give a go.
How does the events that your club plans to host differ from those of an organization like the Art Design Collective and their meeting nights?
So the difference between art and Dazzling Club is exclusively bedazzling, and I feel like our club's more painting. And yeah, I think we're a little more exclusive.
Any more questions for our speaker? Senator Oldfield, you're needing funding for any of the events.
I would be seeking funding in order to provide bedazzling supplies to our members.
Senator Delorme.
Have you like sent out any interest forms that like go past just having events, to see if they're, like, how many students, would be interested in regularly attending their meetings?
Yes, so on YikYak, I did have a post saying, hey, would anyone be interested in the bedazzling club? And I got over 70 likes on that post. I had people messaging me when, where, and I think that shows a lot of interest from students.
Any more questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
4-0-0 ought to pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator Weber.
Move to approve this committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now move into discussion. Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. We'll now move into club presentations with the pre-vet club for a travel follow-up.
Hi there, my name is Cameron and I'm the president of the Pre-Vet Club. I'm Sandy, I'm the social media chair.
I'm Alden, I'm the secretary.
We recently received some funding to go down to Tufts Veterinary School and the Stone Zoo. We just wanted to say thank you for the Senate for approving that. We were able to tour the veterinary school and give students a chance to see what it might be like to attend there. And then we did also do an educational activity at the zoo where we learned some more about conservation medicine and some different paths that students can take in the veterinary field. So thank you.
Are there any questions for our speaker, Senator Delorme?
What was your favorite part of the trip?
My favorite part was really getting to see a behind the scenes of the zoo and learning more from the zookeepers.
Any more questions for our speaker, Senator Oldfield?
What was the coolest animal you saw at the zoo? We saw some monkeys. They were pretty cute. They had a 1-year-old baby and he was kind of causing chaos, so it was pretty funny to watch.
I personally really liked the bears, but I think we're a little biased on that.
Any more questions for our speakers? All right, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll now move into the DPFA traditional report.
Hello, everyone. Our starting projected and allocated for tonight is $31,514.77. For returns to unallocated, I have listed $40 from the Orono Student Nursing Association, $932 from Society of Women Engineers, $1,912.12 from Boxing Club, and $5 from the Fraternity Council. And then I also have a return from Warhammer that happens after I submitted this report of $51.73. We also have a check received of $230 from Panhandle to cover the partial payment of the IMRC for weekly Palooza. For transfers, women's ultimate frisbee is transferring $1,500 from lodging to entry fees, or from lodging and entry fees to jerseys. And then for a budget line added, women's ultimate frisbee adds the line item of jerseys. For office budgets, Only Women asked for $60 for general binders and folders. Free Law Society asked for $25 for graduation boards. For the items allocated to the consent agenda, Tau Beta Sigma asked for $600 for refreshments for their induction ceremony, or no, for Mutts and Music. Sigma Chi, along with IFC, asked for $700 for their Derby Days campus cleanup event, as well as dunk tank. And then for resolutions to Senate, we have Formula Society of Automotive Engineers, or SAE Club, coming in for $6,250 to go to Michigan for competition. And Black Bear Robotics coming in for $1,079.58, also for their DAXU World Cup. End of report.
Are there any questions on the consent agenda? President Tripp?
I have a question for the VPFA or anybody else in the Senate that can answer it. Can we get a little bit of background on what Derby Days is and how that is planned to kind of be advertised? I apologize for not being in the EC. I had a senior admin meeting.
Yeah,
So Derby Days is a week-long philanthropy community service event put on by basically all able chaplains of city backgrounds of the continent. And yeah, we are specifically getting funding for the campus cleanup day that will have I believe will be on Earth Day. We're getting involved with several other Greek and environmental and life science sort of organizations to go around and clean up and make our campus nice. And as a way to give back. And then we're also doing other events throughout the week, but those we aren't asking for any money for.
Any more questions on the consent agenda? Big Bang?
Question to the DFA about the same funding request. You mentioned in your verbal report something about a dump tank. I don't see that listed on the line items.
It's under yard games.
Gotcha, thank you.
President Tripp?
Same item. Have you reached out to the Office of Sustainability? I know that there's usually an annual campus cleanup, and I'm just curious if this is what's taking its place or if anybody's even heard anything about it. I know I haven't.
About Derby Days or about the cleanup?
I guess either.
I'm assuming it's May Day. And before May Day was a party on the Ave, it was a day of service. Put that out there.
22nd. The week before. I'm good.
Any more questions? Any more questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'm looking for approval of the consent agenda. Senator Weber.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Hearing a second, if it declares the Senate, that is approved. We'll now be moving to funding requests, starting with 47S EDC, Formula Assisted Automotive Engineers.
Hi there, my name is Seth Dixon. I'm the president of the UMSG Formula SAE team. We're requesting approximately $6,000 for housing and van rentals to travel to our international competition at the Michigan International Speedway in May, just after graduation. This competition is an international design competition for colleges and universities where students are asked to design and build a small scale Formula car, and then 120 teams from around the world will go to compete in Michigan. We'll be on an international stage with teams from all over North America and Europe. Last year, we placed first as a rookie, best rookie team, and this year we're hoping to expand on that performance.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Ricker?
It seems like we're going to there'll be 12 going.
Senator Oldfield?
Do you know how many of those students are graduating in May?
3.
Any more questions for our speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
Your stipulation.
I was in the discussion. The committee's recommendation is 501 on pass as stipulated.
I'm now looking for approval. Senator Weber?
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, we'll now enter discussion. If you may go.
For clarification, the stipulation that EBC added was when there was confusion whether or not items had been paid for already, because the clubs need to wait until after they get final approval from me come Wednesday after capping. And so there was a situation where Airbnbs have been bought, but those have been canceled and they're going to wait for approval until they repurchase the Airbnbs.
Any more points for discussion? Seeing none, debate. Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Next is 47S EBC 90 for Black Air Robotics.
What did you say?
For Black Bear.
Yeah, sorry, I revised. My name is Aiden Fenwick and I'm the incoming treasurer for Black Bear Robotics. This is our first year being invited to the VexU World Championships, where we engage in designing, manufacturing, and coding 2 approximately 24-inch by 24-inch by 24-inch robots that have to complete a task. We are currently ranked top 100 out of 400 teams for university in the world based on our competition ranking, and we'd like to test our merit at the World Championships in St. Louis. We started a GoFundMe that's raised over $5K, so we just need a little extra help getting us the hotel reservations.
Are there any questions for our speaker? Senator Sparks?
Oh, first of all, guys, fabulous, congratulations. How many people are going?
6. I saw completed.
Any more questions for our speakers? Senator Oldfield?
When's the competition?
It is April 5th through 27th, so close.
Any more questions? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
600, pass.
I'm now looking for approval of the committee's recommendation. Senator Weber?
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Hearing a second, will now enter discussion. Seeing none, debate. Senator DeLorme?
The speaker mentioned it was from the, was from the 27th, but on our, are those the actual days on this?
Those, the like 24th to the 28th is the time we are there,
Okay.
but the competition starts 25th at 8 a.m. in St. Louis.
Any more points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority in the affirmative, that passes. Now, if you're a student speaker, you're now feel free to leave. I would now like to welcome up our guest speaker, Dan Barrett, for one of the
This is kind of going to be the best part, people stick around. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Dan Demerit. I'm the chair of the Orono Town Council. I have John Quinn, a fellow member of the council with me. Thank you for having us here this evening. And we have Peter Bearhar, who's the Greek Life student representative that the Student Senate appointed to the Good Neighbor Committee at our request in October. The reason we're here tonight is we wanted to update you on the good work we've done with the student representatives that you appointed to the committee to work on Orono's disorderly activity ordinance. For those who may be up to speed, or maybe those who aren't aware of it, we have an ordinance now in Orono that has to do with activities and potentials for violation for disturbances and things like that. And it really is a chance for mostly education and awareness. I wanted to present you with sort of an overview of what we've learned. We put this in effect last August, and it was in response with a great deal of urgency to some violent incidences that had happened, particularly in the Webster neighborhood in Orono. We invited and had a student rep participate with us over the summer, did not get the kind of engagement we would have liked with students, given that the people were away. So I met with Deegan over a beer at Marsh Island, which is where I think a lot of good relationship building can start in Orono. And we talked about how we can set up a process to make sure students were involved in our review of the data that we got from our police department and help us think through changes and improvements we could make to the ordinance that reflects kind of what we learned, but also concerns that students may have. So I wanted to just, John is a member of the Good Neighbor Committee with me as well, and a new member of the committee. And I wanted to ask Peter to kind of speak a little bit about what we did in November and then in January, working with the student representatives to the group. And while he's doing that, I'm going to pass around some data and information, if that's okay. Yep. I don't need a vote on that or anything.
You're good.
Hi, guys. My name is Peter Bearhart. I'm the Greek Life representative for the Good Neighbor Committee. So back in, I want to say October, I was appointed for this position, and starting in November, we had a Good Neighbor Committee meeting discussing what the possible changes to the ordinance could be. And myself, Joseph Elliott, and a member of the graduate student government worked together with the committee to basically propose changes that would kind of be the medium between what the committee was looking for and what students were kind of looking for. Proposed a couple of changes made to the work in November, December, and we met back in January where we proposed kind of more of a finalized ordinance, I guess, with full modifications. that was at that perfect medium that we both could agree on. But, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And for a lot of no, okay. Yeah. So, what we're really excited about when we set out with this, again, Orono is, we're the home of the university, we're the ancestral lands of the Penobscot Nation, but we're also the capital, the state capital of education and enrichment in our state. And we invest a lot of money in resources and I think relationships into making sure that we do everything we can. It's kind of safety first in Orono. In our next meeting, by the way, for a plug-in for our next meeting, we're going to have a public hearing on Monday, April 13th at 5 p.m. on this ordinance. So if members of the student community want to come and be heard on it, we'd be happy to have people come in and participate in that. We have, and at that same meeting, we get a manager's report on how Orono is preparing for Maine Day. So happy Maine Day in a couple of weeks and happy graduation to the seniors. I heard at an event the other day, we're about 35 days for those counting, for graduations, getting pretty close. But Maine Day is one of my favorite examples of the kind of safety first collaboration we have in Orono between the town and the campus and the students. For those of you who've been, but maybe haven't seen, we set up a command center. I see the videos, right? I follow Maine Day on Instagram or whatever it is. And I think it's just a phenomenal example of kind of the work you do at harm reduction, keep people safe. We set up a command center with about 50 first responders outside at the American Legion Hall, where across from kind of like where the local is. And we have the apartment complex, hires staff, the security staff, and we make sure that they do. We work with them on that and make sure people have fun, stay safe, and there are resources available to keep people safe when they need it. So we're going to get a report on that at the council at our April 13th meeting. So if you come to the public hearing, stay for the manager's report. You get a chance to hear that. We can always watch it. Marissa does a great job of attending our meetings and being engaged with us. So we thank her for that as well. But plugs aside, and you move quickly through your agenda much faster than we do. Walk through your dad jokes, but we've gotten our disorderly event reports through the year. We've asked our police department to provide us with really detailed reports, and we've had 60 through the end of February. We have 62 residence reports that could have prompted some kind of police response. 19 disorderly event investigations. 10 of those resulted in warnings. So we've been working with a lot of grace in this approach, where a report will going to be an issue of a violation. It'll come before the chief of the police and the town manager, and we'll discuss what happened, what occurred, and more often than not, it results in a warning, which I think is really important. We're not looking to buy a new fire truck with fines and violations. We're looking to create awareness and engagement. There were 8 resident fines, all for after results after 10 p.m. 10 p.m.'s a lot earlier than I think it is for a lot of our residents in Orono. One landlord fine for a second violation, and it's a policy of Orono. There've been questions about it. It's the policy of Orono. We don't enforce the good neighbor ordinance, the disorderly property in the university zone. So anything involving the fraternities, anything on the campus is not something that involves the enforcement of facilities. But moving ahead, as Peter talked about, we took this data and the findings and the stories that we heard from our neighbors, people in the neighborhoods about how this was working, and it has worked. It's working because people are aware that there's a growing awareness about the expectations of what it means to live in a residential neighborhood, and people are being good neighbors, and that's what we wanted to achieve. So with that in mind, we work with the student representatives who appointed to our committee. And what I think is a really good example of intentional listening and engagement, and we're coming forward with a rebate for good behavior. So if someone gets a violation, again, there's only been 8 since we started. If you get a violation and you go a year without a second violation, subsequent violation, you can apply for a rebate. Good behavior is going to pay in Orono, and people learn. And it's a lot of times just a lack of communication and awareness. And when those things are addressed, we're going to reward people with a rebate of their violation. I don't know if any college town in the country has anything like that. They're excited to do it. And as an incentive for people and to spread the word. This is not about punitive action, it's about engagement and learning. We know that mornings work and it's going to continue to be a part of our policy. We changed, Keegan, I think it was you first. Telling me how silly the fine structure, the doublings were. So we changed the fine structures so that it's $300 for the activity. No matter what happens, there's an escalator if it's a major event. What we really need to do is prevent like the nightclub style parties in our residential neighborhoods, right? That's gotta be 100 people at a house party at 1 o'clock in the morning is a recipe for challenges in our neighborhoods. So but we've reworked the sort of the activity fine structures, put a cap so that no one incident will result in a fine of more than $1,200 or $1,500. And we've got the rebate program. So we're excited about it. We think we're going to continue to learn from it. We're going to continue to work with the university and our university partners, Greek Life, athletic department, work with everyone because we think we're a better community, a better college community when we're all working together and kind of make sure that we're getting along and we understand expectations. So that's what I have. If you have any questions, and again, I invite you, like you to come to our public hearing if you have an interest in it. If whether you like it, you'd like to see something different. Whether you're listening and you are, well, those of you who live in Orono, you may be Black Bears, but you're also Orono residents and voters, and that's important to us. So.
Thank you. President Tripp?
I have 2 questions. The first is, could you repeat the date of the public hearing?
It is Monday the 13th, and we start our meetings at 5, and public hearings usually are towards the top of the agenda, so 5:15, 5:20.
Great. And then.
And it's the plan to, we'll have a public hearing, and then we have it scheduled so that we have enactment on May 4th, which is before commencement. We wanted to, I think that was my commitment to you, you got a free beer, you got a commitment, I think, as I recall, we would address this as part of the academic year. I do want to raise the question, and maybe it's not decided now, but I'd like to talk more about how we stay engaged over the summers and how we stay engaged with our leadership transitions between student government and the council. I'd like to make sure one of the opportunities or challenges we have in Orono is that we're a very transient community. We're going to welcome 2,000 new Black Bears. Those of you who graduated will be on your way. We'll welcome 2,000 new Black Bears to town in the fall. 2 of them will be my twins, so I'm excited about that. But we want to make sure that with all the transition that exists in our community, we want to make sure we have processes in place, whether it's your staff, your attorney. How do we make sure we're communicating? We can't commit to like stopping all governance in Orono over the summer, right? Citizenship and civic life doesn't end in the summer, doesn't take summers off. But we do want to make sure that keeping students involved and engaged. But we will be mindful about trying to do things that we think have real student focus during times when we think students are here. We know students are here. We get the calendar,
For the changeover of leadership, I will be president next year, and I'm actually going to be living here over the summer, in Orono. So I'll make sure I get you my contact so I'm able to stay in the loop with what the town of Orono is doing. And if you ever need my consultation.
Okay, perfect. Appreciate it.
President Tripp.
I wanted to start off by saying that we appreciate a lot the kind of changes that you were willing to make and the collaboration that we've been kind of able to find over the last year. I think that I remember it must have been my freshman year that you visited Senate for the first time, talking about moving the election to a point where a lot of the constituency, which is the students, could vote. And I mean, that has made a major step in the right direction for kind of collaboration and co-ownership over this kind of community that we both reside in. My question for you, and it's just one, is I think one of the conversations that we had on our end, and I trust that the student representatives, much as I'd like to be everywhere all the time, I can't be, have done a great job in terms of advocacy and negotiation. But one of the conversations we had about was making it later on weekends, the 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. And I'm not sure what the consensus.
Yeah.
I remember reading a few things about it, but I would just like to pose the question so that the Senate can kind of hear what the rationale is behind that not being part of the recommendations.
What we did is we did away with the doubling at 10 o'clock. So there's no more, so anytime night or day, 24 hours a day, if there's a disorderly activity violation, it's a $300 fine now, not a $600. If it's more than an event, which is clearly more than 20 people, anytime day or night, that could be subsequent to the $300 escalator. But yeah, if it's, you know, it is after 10 o'clock, we're not gonna, we're still, I think in practice, and you'll see that, I think there's more attention and vigilance after 10 o'clock at night, so let's be aware, right? I mean, we'll still tell people, hey, if you're being a good neighbor, 10 o'clock's a time to start thinking about turning it down, taking it inside. The students that live at the end of my house on Main Street, in my street on Main Street, Lori earmuffs, right? But I mean, I'll see them on the roof during the afternoon, but it's without fail, come 10 o'clock at night, they're inside, the fun they're having outside finds its way inside. It just makes for, just it's really conscientious on their part, in terms of being a good neighbor. So, I mean, after 10, so we'll continue to message, like, look, after 10, turn it down, take it inside, be a good neighbor. But the fine structure, we did change the fine structure, so there's no more doubling after. That just seems silly, because it's like, we don't roll in on anything before 10 o'clock apparently, so, just all the better for me, I guess, but they're sleepy, they'll come dead.
Thank you.
Yep.
Senator Sparks? On the line that says landlord who commence eviction proceedings will not be subject to additional violations and fines. I'm concerned that this encourages landlords to evict their residents, and because of getting out of fines, how are you thinking of preventing this, or are there any more specifications in this?
Yeah, the eviction process in Maine is timely and cumbersome, so we didn't want to, if there is someone who is just dead set on being a bad neighbor, it's like you get a t-shirt made or something like that, or, but someone who's just not gonna look to improve their behavior and, night after night, consistently a problem, and a landlord is, it's four violations and it's a $1,200 fine. Caps out at $1,200, but we didn't want to subject the landlord who had started that, because that's the only recourse the landlord has. Truly, it's an eviction. They can't go into people's apartments, they can't, or houses. So once it gets to the point where a tenant is consistently a problem, and it gets to the point where an eviction is appropriate, we didn't want the 60 or 90 or 120 days it takes for that to happen to the legal system, because that's what's good about the legal system for landlords and tenants, is the landlord can't come and just change it. They ever do it, they're breaking the law. They can't come and just change the locks and kick you out. You have rights, people have rights as tenants. But we didn't want to subject landlords to excessive and non-warranted fines if they're working to address the problem through the legal system.
Are there any more questions for our speakers? Senator Sparks?
What is the rationale between this being a 24 hours a day?
You can be a nuisance, people can be a nuisance anytime, right? So it is, if people are being excessive and disorderly, they've got an event that's got blocking traffic or, whatever it may be, and it prevents other people from enjoying their experience. It's like, I'm pretty libertarian, just speaking personally, in terms of whatever your path to happiness is and how you perceive or how you pursue your happiness is great up until the point it impedes on my ability to be happy. And so if it's 10 o'clock in the morning and, the main day crowd shows up on Page Place Avenue, and it's where I live instead of the avenue, well, yeah, I'm calling somebody. They're gonna respond, so that's kind of the thinking.
Sorry.
I'm not suggesting that happen, by the way.
Yes, can I speak to that?
Sure, Joe.
I just wanted to say as well, and I think in the questions here a little bit that, and through the really good feedback we got through this process, from students, after that kind of first try, some of the concerns were with kind of overreach and abuse of this system, both from a fine and enforcement standpoint, as well as from landlords. And that's something that, I took really seriously as I was reading this, because I can also see the potential for that. I do
Coming back to those numbers that Dan was sharing at the beginning around what enforcement has looked like, and I'll put it out there, what enforcement has looked like does not predict or does not exactly predict what it will always look like forever. But right now, these numbers going from 62 reports down to 19 investigations and then halved again to warnings, and then less than that resulting in fines. I think it's indicative of how this has been implemented so far. A focus on warnings with a focus on education. And we've really, from my perspective and from my seat on the Good Neighbor Committee and from anyone kind of watching this process, we'll continue to review these numbers and continue to put those numbers out. And I think if those begin to shift less from the warning and education piece, that will be a really good indicator that this maybe isn't being used in an effective way. We'll just kind of encourage folks to keep an eye on the process as transparent as we're trying to be with it.
And we're gonna have students, I mean, this is whole, like, we're gonna have members of your, students involved in the review on an ongoing basis, right? You're not gonna have to come sit in their offices or, protest something. You're gonna be there when we're looking at the numbers and providing us with feedback. So if we hear concerns like, so-and-so, there's been, someone got evicted after one event or, that's gonna have an impact on how we look at this thing moving forward, but it'll be a continuous conversation. You're at the table, and I hope that we moved our election. That's why we asked for representatives on the committee. Students are a big voice in Orono, and it's up to you to show up and shape it, right? So to the extent that, and I think we've got a pretty good model of that this year, and we want to continue that moving forward.
I was just curious if there's like a place where the specifics of the ordinance are posted, so students and other like Orono residents can educate themselves and all that.
Yeah, we've had stuff on the website. The agenda that'll be posted on Thursday on the town website. The top right hand, there's like 9 buttons, and the top right one's always the upcoming agenda. That'll have where the red line version of the ordinance is. And once we get it approved, and as much of this is writing an ordinance is the easy part, it's the awareness. So we'll be looking to, like we did in the fall, we'll be looking to do more. It's really hard to create awareness about ordinances and things like that, but we'll be looking to do work to spread awareness, and we reach out to landlords aware of it, and so we'll be doing that kind of work. So we've got a community policing officer in Orono who does visits. So in the fall, you'll see a lot of people just knocking on people's doors on a Tuesday afternoon, and people just say hello and think people the resources we have. Thank you.
Senator Cowan.
First of all, I'm going to start by thanking you for coming to the vagina monologue center the weekend. That was really cool. That was super fun. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Our students had plenty of fun. But my thought is thought of like spreading awareness. Would you consider like coming to the union someday in the fall semester and just like tabling with information about the ordinances or the fine policies, so that students can just like grab and go physical information?
Yeah, happy to do that. We did, John and I did the bagels thing for commuter students in the lounge downstairs. And I'd been up since like 5 in the morning, so I was way more there's a whole lot more Dan and people were really ready for, but we did that, and we have to do that. We'll be back on campus for the student involvement day with our dunk tank probably. In our UNH and BU jerseys, so I got a jersey for you, by the way, if you want. I get the UNH, so you can be Boston University. So yeah, we'll definitely want to do that. That's a good idea. Not giving away drop on any toys or anything, but yeah.
President Tripp.
I was just talking to Dean Snuffer to kind of flesh this out, but we have the ability to email blast the student body. So you said May 4th was when all of these changes will be.
Yeah, when we vote, and then go into effect 30 days after that. Yeah.
So it may be worth working together to draft some sort of email. I think maybe that everybody would like to see the student body, so that we can be communicative about this and update, and then maybe just link to your website. That way people know.
Generally, do it ahead of the public hearing, or you want to do it just after the?
We can wait until after. If it's after, it'll be Cynthia. So Either way, I think that might be a good thing for us to do. We could probably post some sort of update about it on our Instagram as well, just to kind of help. I think that we could do a better job at communicating the changes that are happening with you all too.
Okay, I'm excited about the rebate thing. I hope people, I'm gonna, I don't know if anyone's gonna get their picture taken with the town manager when they get their $300 back, or, I'm gonna make it retroactive too. So if we could do, so there are a handful of people that could be out that have paid and would be eligible for the rebate. If they, and I think that's what I'm most excited about, because, it's about improvement and awareness, not, punitive action, so.
Great. Are there any more questions for our speaker? Okay, President Tripp.
Do you have something? Mine's like a last stop, so.
Also, we have that stuff.
Okay, I'll go first then. Okay, my last thing is, I'm just curious, kind of like, I'm a firm believer that, for instance, student government exists because the administration sometimes lacks a student perspective and vice versa. So in this relationship, I'm curious in how kind of including students, kind of in a new way, in a more closer way that I think we've had in the past, has kind of opened your eyes to the community and how that's helped you all, be better counselors.
I'll go. Yeah, so I'm relatively new to the council, just voted on in November, and so I'm only kind of seeing this side of it, although I've been following things, and I value it so much because I was an undergrad here, I was a grad student here, and had kind of that, was bringing these perspectives in, and then now as a resident and on town council. I think there's a lot of priorities that maybe don't get picked up and aren't mutually shared. And I think there's also that this allows for it to be kind of communicated. And I think there's also a desire on both the side of students and folks attending the university and long-term residences are residents of Orono to connect, and that sometimes, to be good neighbor, we call this the good neighbor committee, but I mean literally to form community with each other, that desire exists on both sides. And I think opportunities like this allow us to bridge that gap and create community, which when we create space for that, we don't have to do as much of the ordinance and the education and the fine structure when the community already exists, because then those conversations are happening and the relationships are doing the work for us.
I agree with that, and I also think that Orono's the second youngest community in Maine by median average, and only Castine that have Maine Maritime Academy. It's a tiny village with Maine Maritime Academy smack in the middle. It's the only town that's younger than Orono, and it's by a lot. Like we are, after us, it's a decade older or something like that. Being a college town is our competitive advantage in terms of what makes us different from other communities. A lot of us, many of us are here because we want to live in a college town and all that comes with it. And having students in the mix as we make decisions is incredibly important to that. It helps kind of sharpen our message and what we prioritize. And it is, I think Orono should be striving to be the greatest small college town in America. Hard stop. And people live here. We don't have to, I don't need the US News and World Report to tell me that, or Yahoo.com or something. But for people who live here, I want them to really value what it is that we offer. And that's kind of an aspiration of mine by the time I'm done serving on the council. And I want everyone who is a part of our community as a college student to always feel a connection to Orono. So when you come back if I see you lined up 5 years from now down the side of College Avenue to get into homecoming, I want you to feel a connection to this community, because I think it's an advantage for us, on an ongoing way as well. So.
Versa? You don't have to talk about this. First of all, thank you for coming in.
Sure.
But I was wondering if while you're here, you wanted to quickly talk about the downtown committee and everything you're doing with that super fast, just so we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will try to be efficient with getting the information out there. In addition to our Good Neighbor Committee, which really focuses on relationships across the whole town, we are starting the Home Committee, the Heart of Orono, Maine, which is really focused on downtown revitalization, focusing on addressing the needs of the downtown and also building on identifying and building on the strengths of the downtown. And I think one of our first steps, honestly, is going to be to define what our downtown is, what's even incorporated in. We put the word out as best we could, kind of seeking out some student representatives. As of now, we have some alumni. We don't have a student representative on the council, and that would be really important to me. That'd be really important to me as a member of that committee to have a student voice. There's lots of students that live downtown, there's students that work downtown, there's students that visit downtown, and it is a recruiting tool for the university. It is a third space for students to enjoy off campus. It's a place, where I'm able to go and be a third space for me and my family. So it's a place that builds community, and I really want student voices to be part of that. So I'm hopeful that even if we don't have a direct student representative, although we are still open to that and we want them to be there, that folks are willing respondents to the surveys and information seeking that we engage with as that committee. So keep an eye on that.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. Before we move into executive reports, Senator Blatt has a quote for us.
Yes, so I believe that having a weekly positive vote during Senate would help increase the positive vibes. So this week's positive quote is, if you have good thoughts, they will shine out of your face like sunbeams, and you will always look lovely.
Now with the executive report, starting with the president.
All right, hi guys. I want to start by saying thank you so much for your diligence and good work last week for the annual budget meeting. I know it's a brutal one and I know it was a late one, but you guys stuck it out. And I think we had very concrete conversations, everything that we kind of ran into bumps with, we got to the bottom of. I also think that we should be very proud of ourselves for budgeting the largest student government budget in history, at least here at the university. And I think that's a big deal. So I wanted to say thank you. On top of that, for more housekeeping, I spent $22.56 for my exec fund to update the annual team picture in the office. If you've ever walked into the office, it's kind of like composite style, but it has the exec team, and I started that a few years ago. And this is just updating this one from last year, and then we'll take one this year, and then that one will immediately get moved somewhere else, and that will get put up. I think it's a fun way to have some history kind of building in the office, and frankly, there's a lot of empty space, and it's kind of ugly in there. So if you slowly build it out, it'll be kind of like a historical record, but also some personalization and decoration there. Moving into old business. Vice President Shelmerdine and I drafted the memorandum of understanding I talked to you about our relationship and responses with the administration after the annual budget meeting last week. Thank you for sticking through that with me. It's been reviewed now by Dean Gifford and Attorney O'Mara, and it now heads to the President's Cabinet for review. I will drop the current draft into the chat so you can see it. I spoke to Sam Warren, who's the head government affairs executive officer of the university system, and she told me that she saw it and was very optimistic about it. So if she's optimistic about it, sounds like it's pretty good. And I look forward to kind of seeing that through, getting that signed. And again, I'll drop that copy so you can kind of read it. This is not the final version. I haven't gotten the responses back from anybody but Dean Gifford. I incorporated all of her feedback, and I thought it was great. So we're in a really good track for that. Next, tonight is the hiring meeting. We will be considering 9 out of 10 positions tonight. I want to give you a heads up about that. The Board of Trustees Representative Committee has yet to be able to consider or interview all of the candidates it would like to, and as such, will be submitting their hiring recommendation next week. That's the only one I anticipate having to go through next week, but we couldn't get the interview scheduled until today. Was it today?
The interview was Thursday, but yeah.
But it was scheduled today. So today was the day, but that's why we have the backup hiring meeting. It's all within our timeline, and it should be no problem. Execs will gain access to the hiring materials again so they can review their notes once we enter executive session, just to put that out there, so you'll be able to look back if we have to have conversations about candidates. But yes, thank you so much to all the committee members for all their hard work.
The annual budget and hiring at the same time is genuinely some of the hardest weeks of student government ever. And these guys did such a great job. I got all of my recommendations on time, and we should all give a little bit of a round of applause for exactly. Moving on for old business, I went and drafted Sean's contract. I sent that to VPFA Bone for his review. I'm hoping to see that come through next week. It will likely have to be passed through the executive committee this round. Last time it went through Polypro, but again, I'll have all of the changes kind of presented to the Senate that night, so it should be okay. And if we need to table it for a week, because that's not enough consideration, no problem. But just because of the time crunch and I don't want to throw an entire contract at Senator Sparks for Polypro tomorrow, that's kind of how I'm looking at doing it. And we've kind of come to the consensus, I think, in the last conversation we had, that everything seems okay. So if you have problems with that, bring it up in questions for report. But that's currently my general standard, and I'll make sure the execs review that and give their feedback so it is vetted and it's not just kind of me throwing something at everybody. Next, syllabus bank updates. So I attended the recent Academic Affairs Committee meeting of the Faculty Senate with Senator Oldfield. We were once again met with some hesitation and discomfort around what to include and whether the project puts folks in danger of doxing or infringement on intellectual property. That being said, I feel like we came to a pretty strong consensus. They are drafting a letter of support, which is the last step, as we've been talking about, to get the exploration committee going. That being said, unfortunately, I don't expect it to go through into the fall. That's what the Academic Affairs Committee said too. So we're currently in the project transition kind of timeline where we're going to be breaking it all down to pass off. And I apologize for not being able to see it through. I really wanted to. I know I promised I would, but other things happened and I really did my best. But it's, again, never been closer to a syllabus bank. And I really do think that with the work that's being put in the background, where we really are genuinely making progress, and this isn't me just kind of talking. It just is a long process. It was always going to be. I didn't realize it was going to outlive me. Anyway, yes. So for new business, university budget address. Jenny Boyden will be attending the Senate on April 14th. I dropped a thing in the chat. Thank you, Senator DeLorme and Senator Centinello, for giving me your feedback. I wanted to address this real quick. Please review the budget slideshow before now and then. I just want to stress that this is huge, having administrators engage with us in this way and want to kind of directly present something as big as the university budget to us. But if we expect that engagement, we need to give it back. I don't think that the asks of some specific questions getting answered ahead of time is too much. I mean, they are large questions. They do need to look in and have things prepared. So if you do have burning questions and you don't want to be kind of referred to something else, or I'll get back to you, please get that to me. I have a document that's running and I'll send out a reminder for that too, but I'm going to send it all by end of day Thursday. So I'm going to need any kind of in-depth responses to that by end of day Thursday. And by end of day, I mean like midnight. And you could even do it Friday morning probably, and I'd be okay with that. But I'm going to send that all on Friday to her so that she has enough time to prepare and kind of get those questions answered. And last but not least, next week I will be coming to the Senate with several congratulatory resolutions that are going through Polypro and subsequently, hopefully, through the Senate. Something I would like to see this body do is take that power a little bit more seriously. I think that we should, as the student leaders on campus, or at least the student senate on campus, should take more time and be more intentional about celebrating the great wins and accomplishments that are going on this campus, not just policy and fiscal responsibility. I think we can take a little time to kind of be proud of what's going on campus. So I'll also be seeking a bunch of sponsors on those. I think that when we do things like sentiments, it looks a lot better when there's just a paragraph of your names. So expect me to ask you to sponsor them during the Senate meeting, and we'll just I'll write them all down and we'll do one big amendment. But if you want to kind of get in on that early, come to Polypro tomorrow at 3:15, and that is the end of my report.
For my report, to start off, I'd kind of like to echo what President Tripp was saying about next week. We have Jenny Boyden coming in, and then the week after that, on the 28th, we have the president coming in. I'd like to remind everyone to please have very professional questions started for this. I don't want to hear pointed questions. When I think of the budget, an adjective that comes to mind is distressing. And I really like to maintain a professional spirit when we have these people here and to keep our composure. And to not ask pointed questions that could come off as rude, although I know that, some of the information that is put out during it is not the best. So please, just as a reminder, have your questions ready. Yesterday, the DOC resigned and will not have a fill-in for that position for the rest of the semester. If you have any questions regarding this, please only refer to me or the president. I met with the hiring committee last week for the dean of students to go over our charge and start making a list of interview questions. I'll add that list of questions I added from the student's perspective into the chat, and I will be having the final meeting before interviews tomorrow. If there are any changes or questions people would like me to ask, please let me know. As I'm the only student sitting on for this position, but for everyone's information, there's currently only one applicant. I had a meeting last week with the Maine campus to go over any updates regarding the AI policy, which were all shared in my report last week. And if you have any lingering questions, please feel free to reach out. The VP-elect and I had a meeting with Dick Young, and we talked about the following action items. The moving of the Partners for World Peace they moved from the Keogh building to Estabrook. The reason for that move was the fire marshal brought up issues within the exits of that building, and I have a meeting to follow up with the president of Partners for World Peace later this week to go over the exact details, because part of that conversation I had with those students where they felt that they were not adequately known in time about this move, which we have seen this year, and I do not want this to be repeated again. The Kiwi bots are being moved from the basement of the Memorial Union to the baseball concessions area because they cannot be in a building with people as they have lithium batteries. So they'll no longer be that area right out front. One of the better things that we heard from this meeting was that the FLIX bus bought up the Greyhound bus routes in Maine, and they're expanding it. So there'll now be a bus offered from the Memorial Union to New York City. Dick Young said this should be announced within next week, and we'll have media to push for it on our own Instagram. So that's pretty exciting. They're expanding allergy-free food areas in York. I spoke about the concerns for dining over the summer, as I stayed here for research, and the only food that you have on campus, because if you are a student worker through a lab, you have to be on campus. The dining hall, like here, was only open from 10 to 3, and then for the rest of the time, you could only get food from the Amazon market. So I explained to him that just a bunch of microwavable food for an entire summer is not how you feed your students, especially when you only have the salad bar and sandwich options in the Memorial Union. So he said, as a compromise, they're thinking about having Hilltop be open for the U-Cook station so students can come in and cook their own food, which I think is a really great compromise because there's an issue with student workers over the summer to make up for the dining staff. So I'm going to be continuing those conversations as someone who had to live through that. I don't want that repeated for anyone else. For move-in, there'll be wayfinding posters on the sides of Knox and Oxford, like the giant posters they have outside the library for part of beautification, also to help people find their way. And there'll be off-street electronic parking permits for people who are here for conferences or visiting. And he explained that this is instead of people's first experience at this university, instead of having to go to parking and go through and get a parking pass for a day, it's now just going to be electronically available on people's phones. So that's pretty exciting. And then the construction outside of Theta Chi is a catch basin because of the new construction by the football field, if anyone was wondering. This past Friday, I had a meeting with Ryan Ford and Joe Farley, and we went over some of the changes they're making over the summer for infrastructure on campus. As I mentioned previously, the sculpture studio is being torn down in the CCA parking lot, and that will be converted into black parking. There'll be work on the black lots near Wells during the school year this year, but there'll be no interference with taking away from parking. And that they introduced to me a MCDC job shadowing opportunity with Joe Farley. It's a fellowship over the summer where they're offering students around $5,000 to help fix some of the problems we see on campus. And so they have real hands-on applications of engineering when that comes to how you build a campus. I have the next dean meeting this Friday for EHD. I'm very excited. All the other deans have been really on board for the student advisory boards. I'd like to remind all the CLAS senators in here to please fill out the when to meet so we can start working on the bylaws for the CLAS, as I'm hoping to have all bylaws through the deans and approved by the individual colleges by the end of this year so they can all start up by next semester. And Keegan is meeting individually with Dean Haddad tomorrow as her request. That is the end of my report. Vice President of Financial Affairs.
Pretty mundane week with finishing up budget things, sending out emails and hiring. But one quick note is that for bus tickets, now that we have a new provider, we're going to do a new contracting essentially for our bus ticket coupons or subsidies. And so would services chair, please work with me towards the end of the semester so we can get that set for next year.
Vice President of Student Organizations.
Hey guys, hope you're excited for the hiring meeting. Execs put a lot of time and effort into the decisions being presented to you tonight, so looking forward to productive combos about the future of these positions. An update on scoreboard. After talking to a few of the other execs, I've decided to transfer this project to VP Lex Sparks, and also after talking to VP Lex Sparks. Since we're so close to the end of the year, I think we need someone with continuity in the role to be able to see this through and ensure its longevity into next year. I've updated the representative job board descriptions to reflect their employment status as at will. I've also created the job description for the accessibility on campus position, updated Seed's old description to reflect the others, and updated the Honors College board to reflect their changes. This is all procedural stuff. I, along with James Salidas and some other CSI workers, got to pick the Outstanding Student Org of the Year for the Student Leadership Awards. This is very exciting, as I'm not sure BPSO has had this opportunity in the past, and hopefully this reflects the fact that CSI and UMSG's relationship is stronger than it's been. Lastly, I sent an email to club officers today at Pam's request, reminding them that they should start doing transfers for their club bank account, so next year's officers are on the bank and the card, as well as encouraging them to think about some type of training or onboarding for next year's officers. End of report.
Vice President for Student Entertainment.
Hi everyone, there were 349 tickets used at Blackbird Cinemas last week. For the concert, we have 1,035 now. People signed up for the concert and 432 have received their tickets. And then I have some important concert announcements. Do not worry, we will be making a lot of announcements by Instagram and through email push, but as VP Shelberdine announced earlier, this is going to be a little bit difficult to navigate without a DOC. So AVPSC Paul and myself are going to be taking on a lot more of the responsibilities that come with marketing for this. Please make sure to tell all of your friends and help push this show. Rep boards especially, you should be talking to your people and getting them involved and interested in the show. And with that said, next week I will be bringing like all of the physical tickets that we still have, and I will be giving them out. So if you guys could please come with numbers in your head of how many people you think would be interested, or if you guys could give them to club presidents and talk with or not just like club presidents, but people who you manage, I guess. Just come with numbers in mind so I can give you guys physical tickets so that they can get dispersed. And then additionally, like I said, there will be an email about buses going out and on Instagram, a post on Instagram, an email about buses going out tomorrow, hopefully. So just keep that in tune and make sure to tell people that there will be transportation provided to and from the event. The video game tournament happened on Friday. I forgot to include that in my written report. It was very successful. I thought we got rid of all of our prizes, which was very awesome, and we got rid of all of our foods, and so it was really great. It was really cool. So a huge shout out to Senator Schultz for doing all of that, and that's the report.
Vice President of Student Leadership.
We have. No, I can't see it. Oh my God. Yes, great. We have two more prospective senators in the back. Thank you to Senator St. Lawrence and VP Shelmerdine for helping recruit. That means that as long as they get their papers in, we will have a full Senate for the first time in how many years, Lori?
Like ever.
Perfect, like never. I'm very excited about that. I'm a little disappointed it's happening under Keegan and not Cynthia, but you know, I'll get over it. I just dropped a little doc and I mean, it's like 5 sentences in the chat about the retreat, just to go over some of the points. It will be not this Friday, but not this Friday and also not next Friday, because that's a concert and everyone should go to that. But the Friday after that, it is not going to be in the bank room anymore, and I will update in the chat when I have a confirmed location. The idea is a PowerPoint night kind of theme that you guys may have done with your friends, where senators will have 6 to 10 minutes to present a topic of their choice. Some fun ones that were discussed in committee are why are cows afraid of people and ranking fonts by their vibes. I think this will be great, opportunity for Senate to bond, get to hang out in a more casual setting, as well as develop some time management skills, since you have to fit presentation and questions into 6 minutes, as well as hopefully some public speaking skills in a more casual environment. For anyone in SLC who is confused why it says Friday when we confirmed it was Thursday, I was reminded that that is inauguration on Thursday, and you should go to that. That is incredibly important, and Zoe is getting meatballs. Thank you, end of report.
Advisory to student government. No report. Are there any questions for the executives? Senator DeWarne.
This is for VPSU Human. What is the plan for like ensuring undergrad students are the ones receiving their tickets after those are kind of distributed to people?
I just have to put full faith and trust in you guys. You guys are doing it. I mean, this is a pretty typical process that like once the campus groups or situation like that shuts down, then it is just like you do the physical tickets and it's just a push of tickets out. So when I hand them out to people, it is very much.
You can ask for main cards at the door.
You can ask for main cards too, but yeah.
I'll stand at the door and look me.
Senator Cowan.
Question for VPSLFA. Could there be any consideration in picking a different date or time for the event, as this directly conflicts with Take Back the Night, which is the reason you were unable to book the Bangor?
Right.
And Take Back the Night, for context, starts at 5 p.m. Friday, April 24th here.
Okay.
How long does it go?
An hour and a half, 2 hours max.
How did you say it starts?
5 p.m.
Okay, I'm gonna drop in the chat right now. It's for people to choose between Wednesday at that time or Friday from 3 to 5. And those are my best options.
Any more questions for the executive? President Tripp.
More comment.
Okay.
Concert pushing is probably going to be the most important thing we do for the next 2 weeks, other than hire, which happens mostly tonight. I really want all hands on deck with this. There's a lot more riding on this than just the entertainment of the student body. We need to prove that this money was well spent, and I believe it was. But the only way that information and people show up to things, as we all know, being club or leaders of other things, is by engaging with this student body. I'm going to be on full engagement mode for the next 2 weeks. I very much encourage you to join me in that. Talk to your friends, talk to your clubs. If you are raise your hand if you're in a club that's not Greek life and it is outside of the student senate. I encourage you to stand up at your next meeting and bring it up. Tell them how to get tickets. And if you think that it's even worthwhile to get some for yourself and bring them there, please do. This is a big deal. And I think that part of the hesitation right now is an uncertainty about how it is off campus and how to get there. Alleviate their fears. There will be buses. But this is going to be an all hands on deck thing. And I encourage you to do your part in that. Thank you.
I also realized I forgot to put this in my report, but I used $335.65 from my executive fund for the invitations for the inaugurations. Any more questions for the executives? VP Fang?
Question to VP Bone. You mentioned switching the contracts for the bus tickets, but Because, so Flip is now offering the Greyhound service and they're coming up to campus. Doesn't Concord still operate up to campus, which is who it used to be with?
When I talked with Pam, because Greyhound now is the partner with the university.
Oh, they're partnering with the university?
If I remember correctly, that's why we just stopped at Memorial Union, straight to University, and so I think that means that we have to partner with Greyhound and. I think it's also cheaper now for us to do this than it was with another concert, but we'll figure that out, when we get back in.
PP Fang.
Question for Advisor Stelco. When are grad volunteer signups be released?
Or,
Volunteering at graduation?
oh, they're already out.
Oh,
If you're, I can just send, I can drop the link in the chat if you want to volunteer for graduation, because they are absolutely still looking for people. Yeah.
Any more questions for the executives?
Question for Michelle then. Without a DOC, are there still going to be communication committee meetings? Is that still something that's happening or needs to happen with the lack of meetings?
No, those meetings are not gonna happen, and if you'd like to consult about the different posts, you can consult either Lehman, Tripp, or I.
We're working on a solution.
Any more questions? Seeing none, moving on to periodic reports, starting with faculty senate student representative. No report. University of Maine Board of Trustees student representative. Is there any report in the chat? Okay. Chair of the Fair Election Practices Commission.
Hi, everyone. This past week, we wrapped up hiring. I am getting the agenda for inauguration finalized and I got the invitation. Today at FPC, we also picked all the food for inauguration. I have not ordered it yet, so if anyone has last minute special requests, let me know. Moving forward, I'm gonna be working on the guidelines, the amendments to those really heavily, as well as training and figuring out what to do next year with the next FPC. And report. Student Legal Services Liaison. Representative to the Graduate Student Senate. No report. Representative to the Graduate Student Senate.
Okay, I'm going to be reading last week's reports, which I did not get a chance to read out loud, but I feel as though it is very important. So last Monday, this was last week, Monday, had a very productive meeting with our Machias representative. The Machias campus is experiencing their own sort of Crossland Hall issue. Their Senate Hall, which is not to be confused with the place they hold their meetings, which it isn't. They hold their meetings in Torrey Hall, is up for demolition. Recently, they had a dean sit-in where they discussed the potential removal of the building at their campus. The issue is that there are not enough additions to fill the Senate Hall, so it is only used for summer housing, and they are actively losing tens of thousands every year. But the pushback is that it's a fan favorite building. The building has like separate areas, so there's a event area and a housing area. So there's the debate is whether we should only keep the event area, demolish just the housing area, or vice versa, or just demolish the whole thing. And it has historical significance to the Machias alumni, as many following remember having their first events in that building. So I wanted to draw attention to that. So that is something you are passionate about. And our top goal currently is that we are both working towards establishing an Instagram account for the Machias Senate. And our representative talked about it with their Senate, and it turns out they actually did have an account. But the person who worked on the account graduated and never passed on the account information to anybody. So nobody knows the account information. And Jose and the secretary will be working on making it. And perhaps UMSG can help with publicity as that publicity is their main issue. And finally, they have a Spring Fest coming up, which the Machias Senate is currently in full preparation for it. And what that is that basically their whole town gets set up and they have a booth for vendors and whatnot. And the Machias Senate will be having their own booth for their own publicity. And finally, I am proud to announce that I will be meeting with the Machias Senate president to discuss things further, garner a broader picture on key topics, as that was suggested by our representative. Anyway.
Board of Town Council Liaison. Old Town City Council Liaison.
At last night's meeting, the city council continued discussions about the potential expansion of the Juniper Ridge landfill and the concerning implications of the proposal. There was also a discussion about how the city is going to carry out their annual spring cleanup this year. The conclusion they reached was to establish a central location for citizens to drop off waste because their curbside pickup process used in previous years caused many issues, including non-compliant waste items being collected by the city and safety hazards for public works employees collecting the waste. Finally, some councils brought up concerns with the city's budget shortfall and how the city could push for more funding from the state and county and even the federal level. This also ties into the landfill issue because the presence of the Juniper Ridge landfill in Old Town causes the city to take on the unintended expenses of the landfill with no outside financial assistance. Some examples brought up were the expenses of environmental mitigation efforts and the price of repaving the roads more often than not due to the traffic of landfill vehicles going over Old Town roads. And good one.
Representative of Military and Veteran Student Affairs.
No report.
Director of Technology. University of Maine Security Representative.
Last Friday, we had our first Coffee with the Cops event and it went really well. We went through Boards and Donuts and ran out of the book twice. We had 5 representatives of UMPD there, along with UMPD merch stickers and Black State Lab business cards, and they all got handed out like crazy. And Officer Dover was really happy with it, and the plan is to hopefully work towards having in multiple different areas around campus at different times every month. Thank you.
The Center for Undergraduate Research Liaison.
Hello, the symposium is coming up quite soon. So there was a total of over 400 abstracts submitted. So I think that's the record as of now for most ever. And since there's so many, we need a lot more volunteers. There's only 25 signed up to volunteer. So if you happen to be in a sports club and need volunteer hours, feel free to sign up to volunteer at the symposium Thursday or Friday. End of report.
Any questions for the periodic reports? Seeing none, we move on to report the standing committee, starting with policy and procedure.
Hello, everyone. No resolutions tonight, but we will see our fair share of weeks. Executive evaluations are the week after that, so I look forward to it. I'm keeping the question from the last semester, except for adding a question about the annual budget. So nothing crazy there. If anyone wants something different, please let me know. If you are a chair of a special committee, I will be reaching out here sometime this week to look at renewing committees. As I will not be a senator next year, I'm looking for someone to chair the polypro. So if you're interested, please let me know and I'll give you the rundown on how to write a resolution. And services.
Hello, everyone. The night walk will be on 4/22. It's a Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. The focus this time will be on potholes across campus, also with faded painted lines. There should be 2 resolutions coming in next week, one for the handicap spots and one for the streetlights, just to finalize that. Other than that, end of report.
Academic affairs.
Hi, everyone. President Tripp said most of what I was going to see in my report already. I am the academic affairs chair, but I think this is fine. As you mentioned, we had a meeting about the truncated syllabus, and we actually just received an email back from one of the faculty that was there with like the next steps on her end. So that'll look like us talking about the proposal in the academic affairs meeting tomorrow, which I will be at, as well as something I would love for our academic affairs meeting to work on. So I will be hosting the next academic affairs meeting on Monday, the 13th at 4 in the Senate chambers. So if you can go, please be there. This is a pretty important committee. And before we move on to the next year and I'm gone, I would really love someone to sort of take hold of the syllabus work so that it continues, because we are making a lot of progress this year and I can see a future where it is finished at the end of the fall semester. And I think that would be a really great thing for senators to be interested in continuing, because it has been a long project. Most of our conversation about the truncated syllabus ended with like sort of like a 3-tiered structure for professors to like have different options for how comfortable they feel with including different amounts of information with like a baseline for professors to, if they feel comfortable enough to just putting their whole syllabus up there. That's something we'll iron out more in detail with all of the faculty senate and not just the couple of professors we met with at the meeting. But I'm not sure I will be there for that, so I guess you guys will hear what that will look like this year. That's all I have right now, but if you do have anything for me to bring up at the academic affairs faculty meeting tomorrow, please reach out to me before 3 p.m. tomorrow. That's when the meeting starts. End report. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the reports of standing committees? Senator Black?
Question for Senator Sarkis, because there's no board DOC, will there still be an evaluation of the DOC?
No.
Any more questions? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to reports of special committees, starting with holistic health and wellness.
Hi everybody, I hope you had a good weekend and are having a good time as we wind down in the semester. Especially I know I myself being a senior, am getting a little antsy, so I hope we're all taking some time to rest and relax when we can. This week in committee, we fielded a conversation about student concerns on an AI transcription service being used during Cutler health appointments. So I will be reaching out to Cutler this week to ask some questions about what's going on over there and asking if they could put up signage to kind of clarify that that is a potential, but they are still asking student consent first. And then I'm also reaching out to the counseling center to schedule a time to film a tour video of the counseling center before the end of the semester. And we will be setting a tabling date soon. When we have dates for when our new market order will be showing up. If you didn't know, spinners, they have some squishy braids. So that'll be fun. And looking forward.
Food and dining affairs.
Everyone, I met with Sodexo the week before last, and I waited to give this report both before I met with my own committee members and when I give an in-person report to answer any what I think is inevitable follow-up questions. I made sure to get answers to, I think, every question asked, or at least what Sodexo qualified as an answer. Here's a quick summary of the questions and answers that I got. It'll be a bit long, but I was asked a lot of questions, and I just wanted to make sure I answered all of them because most of them were people in this room. And I don't remember who asked them because I didn't write that down. So I asked about the expansion of gluten-free and healthy food options and was told that the simple space in Hilltop is more of a pantry area and won't expand to include hot items like a gluten-free noodle station or anything like that. It'll be what it is and it'll stay what it is, and that's it. That's that. Many people have mentioned composting and food waste, so I made sure to ask about that. Scott Foster runs the composting facility. When Earth Week starts April 20th, they're gonna have a bunch of local vendors come from whatever Veggie Life is to visit and do a food waste focus day. And there will also be tofu-filled bao buns with kelp kimchi, which is all plant-based local ingredients. They're also working on a video explaining how food waste goes through the lean path system, which processes all pre-consumer food waste. Any pre-consumer food waste is put on the scale, weighed, and composted. They do not compost post-consumer waste, so that's all of our waste is not composted. I asked the reason for this, and they said that there's no composting facility large enough in the area. They asked around, and nobody was willing to take on that much food waste. So their informational campaign is designed to get students themselves to produce less food waste, which is the only way for the university to produce less post-consumer food waste. They will also look into the side salad and the meal exchange for next year, not this year because it's so late into the semester, even though I asked about it so early into the semester. There will also be no U-Cook in Wells anymore, as they'd have to renovate the entire building. So that's never coming back. I know it's gone already, but it's never coming back. And it was her opinion that they never should have done that because it was a pilot program and the building itself wasn't meant for it. So to give a good thing and then take it away because they shouldn't have done it, she felt was a little silly. They did, as requested, put printed paper menus in Wells. In terms of ordering issues with Wells, they're aware of them and are working to fix them on their end. For mobile issues, they suggested that you reinstall the app and then re-add your meal plan. In terms of kiosk issues, They're struggling to get the everyday system, which is the kiosk, to communicate with the university IT system, which is the little scanner on the bottom. But that's also being worked on. I asked, for people who asked about it, I asked about the tahini sauce and the Korean barbecue sauce. They said that they will reach out to the person in, my God, what is this building called?
Union?
Thank you. In the union. That's been a long week already. It's only Tuesday. But in the union, but they can't promise anything, but they'll ask. So I'm gonna lay that one to rest, but hopefully you'll get your tahini sauce finally. So there was some confusion about wells not being closed over break, so I asked about it and they were closed. There were just people in there training for Buffalo Wild Wings. If you saw anyone eating in there, it was just during their lunch and when they were testing different items. They also can't expand operational hours unless the university changes their contract. And they are contracted for and paid for certain hours. That'd be more of a university change. And also there were complaints about a lack of food over break, which was talked about a little bit already. But for spring break specifically, they got a request from Stoddard Hall, which houses a lot of international students, to help them with food options over spring break. So they made a bunch of, they sent out a survey and then made out a lot of refrigerated bowls to eat over the week. I thought there were some pretty good options. They also made a lot of those options available within the union, which I was really pleased to hear. And the last thing I promise, we're looking to, and I'm gonna submit a request for that really soon. But we finally got okayed with them to have sort of a wings and discussion event in Wells. Hopefully we can hold that in 2 weeks. It'll be, I think, on Wednesday. It was 2 weeks or next week or whatever it was. But that'll be an event held with us and Sodexo. Originally, she seemed to think that I meant this was a tabling event, that she'd be there to help set up the table and leave. I corrected, saying that I would hoped that there'd be a Sodexo representative there the entire time to help answer questions. But for all of you, I'll send the time in the chat and the day. But I'm getting enough for 50 people to have about 8 wings. So come and eat free food as long as EDC says it's okay. So, but and that is the end of my report.
Undergraduate Student Symposium.
Yeah, as I said earlier, please volunteer. I know we have IFC and Penn Hall reps here. If any fraternity or sorority needs volunteer hours as well, come help out. Super easy. It's a lot of setup and takedown stuff. You can help anytime Friday, most anytime Thursday. Pretty easy and would be a great help to the event and everyone.
Water Involvement and Education Committee.
Hi, everyone. So this week I have a meeting with the new group to finalize the plans for a building event that is going to be held the week after next, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. Also, we will be working on some infographics about midterms and primary. So if that's something you're interested in. Feel free to stop by Mondays from 12 p.m. in the Wizard.
Non-traditional Commuter and Transfer Students Committee. Does anyone have that report? All right, any questions for the special committees?
You guys doing the informational session, do you plan on talking about ranked choice and how that works?
Not to my knowledge, but I'll bring that up during the meeting on Friday.
Because I've had a lot of people like ask how it works.
Are there any more questions? Seeing none, we'll be moving on to the representative board report, starting with Honors College Student Leadership Council. No report. Interfraternity Council.
Hi, everybody. So Greek week was a success. The first place team was Chi Beta and Phi Kappa. Second place was Phi Sigma Chi, and Cap Sig. Then third place was tied between Pi Phi, Sigma, Alpha Delta, and then AO Pi, Phi Eta, and ATO. The last day of the Greek week got kind of thrown around due to the weather, but made out pretty well with what we were working with. Delp won Mr. Fraternity, and I don't have a final count of the money raised, but from what I know, it was a very successful fundraiser for AOPI this year. And formal season is rolling around for fraternities and sororities, so I'm gonna give the good old fashioned, you're representing not only Greek life, but the university as a whole, especially if they're at a third party venue.
For Panhellenic Council, I have that report. She hopes everyone's semester is going well. Their recruitment bylaws passed last week during their meeting, and that Greek Week went smoothly, and it seemed like everyone in Greek Life had an amazing time. She also listed the same winners as well. So during this time, I'm gonna hijack it and say for Chi Omega, I got the game-winning touchdown against AO. We got third place for that. But we won overall, so. So we won. I'd like to shout out Delta Zeta as their sorority actually baked Chi Omega with a bunch of cookies, and they gave us flowers for our Founders Day, which is totally unique for someone to do, and they gave it to us during our formal chapter. So thank you to Delta Zeta. Moving on to Student Athletic Advisory Council.
Baseball won their series this weekend over Bryan, and track and field officially opened UMU Balance Track and Field Complex with their first outdoor meet since 2017 in February.
Senior Class Council.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to announce our senior week lineup. So Monday, April 27th will be a field day event in the Mahaney Dome from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This is a chance to play some of the games that you might remember from gym class and have a good time with your peers. Including games like capture the flag, ones, that sort of thing. Tuesday, April 28th will be a movie night where we will be watching Shrek, the first movie, from 8 to 10 p.m. This will be on the mall with a random location of Neville 101. Snacks and drinks will be provided. Wednesday, April 29th will be the graduation cap decorating from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the North Pod of the Union with all supplies provided. Thursday, April 30th will be a senior night at OBC featuring $1 off pints and card board games to play with your friends while you're there. Friday, May 1st will be our senior send-off event from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Wells Conference Center. We'll have a free buffet style dinner and a cash bar, so you can grab some food and have a good time. And there are only 32 days left until graduation. End of work. Sustainability Environmental Action Division.
We're looking at our Sustainability Field Day on April 23rd. Sponsorship by the Mitchell Center, so thank you to them. And the report.
Are there any questions for the representative field reports? Senator Cowan.
Representative Karpinski, will there be a parachute or parachute game? So you're working on it. I would hope so, yes. Okay.
Any more questions for the reports? Seeing none, we'll be moving into the Community Association report, starting with Student Heritage Alliance Council.
Hi, everybody. Shaq had a pretty great meeting last Thursday. We met at Buffalo Wild Wings because everybody's really stressed out and they deserve a bit of like a break in that way. ESU has their bake sale going on April 8th as well as April 15th from 10 to 4 in the Union. So please go show up for that. CALSA also has their first meeting tomorrow from 5 to 6 in room 312 of the Memorial Union. They're back on campus, and so even though they're not recognized yet, they're like they have a really strong start with a full cabinet. The German Club is going to be at the Memorial Union this Friday, hosting Cafe Bean. This is a really old tradition with the German Club, and so they're going to be selling 8 cakes. So it's going to be really exciting. Like they have a whole variety of local bakers making those. And so normally they go by pretty fast. So make sure to go to that. This week I'm attending all of the cultural clubs to recruit for Shack next year. It's all hands on deck, all hands on singular deck. But I'm really optimistic that next year we're going to have a line of succession. So we'll get through that. We at our meeting at a Buffalo Wild Wings at Wells last week, a lot of the members brought up crosswalk safety and in particular they were very concerned with driver safety, people speeding a lot, and you know, like it's really salient like in their minds about how last semester there was like a ton of people hit by cars, and so they'd like to see the crosswalks painted a bit brighter. And I guess this would be for facilities. We weren't sure if it was possible to get like flashing signs I'm not sure about the feasibility of that, but that was something we should brought up, so we will see. And on behalf of the Student Heritage Alliance Council, I'd like to formally invite all of you to our Shack formal taking place this April 23rd, 2 Wednesdays taking place at Canoe. We have a lot of food generously funded by the University of Maine student government. And so just as much as Shack is a means for all the cultural clubs to get together and advocate for each other, it's also a way to connect us with all of you. So it will be our pleasure to have you come and enjoy food and company before we shove off for this summer graduation. So I'll send out the reservation form via our Senate chat. It's a Google form. And we're going to need to send that into Canoe by April 15th. I believe that's next Wednesday. So if you're interested, please fill that out. You can bring a +1, and it's a formal or business casual. So we're really looking forward to it. We hope to see you there. End of report. Thank you.
Wildstein Queer Straight Alliance.
Happy Pride Week, everyone. The drag show is this Saturday at 7 p.m. in CCA. I really do believe that this is our best group of performers, and it's somewhat of a sample platter of local Maine drag, with drag performers representing a broad range of different types of drag. I don't think we have, from my knowledge, any two performers that are going to do something remotely similar to each other. It's a great time and I highly recommend it. This week, Wildstein is holding a clothing drive for the boxes in Union by the Hupoku, which there will be a box there tomorrow, and a box in the Rainbow Resource Center, which is there right now. All of the clothing that we collect will be used for our Trans Plus clothing swap event, which is on Saturday, April 18th from 11 to 3 in the Wilson Center. To help transgender and non-binary individuals who may not be able to afford clothing that allows their gender expression. Lavender graduation is on May 2nd from 1 to 3 p.m. here at Bangor Room. If you want to be part of the ceremony, or if you just want a rainbow cord for graduation, let me know. I have the QR code for sign up with me right now if you want to scan it. And please spread the word to anyone who might want a rainbow cord. In addition to that, both tomorrow and Thursday, we will be tabling for all 3 of those events, so people can also stop by to find out. And lastly, Wildstein elections are this week. So by Friday, I will know who the next Wildstein representative will be, and you'll see that person behind that Senate at base.
International Student Association, North Board. Accessibility on campus. Does anyone have that report? All right, are there any questions for the Community Association reports?
Senator comment, or I guess like clarification for Representative Emery. I believe CALSA is actually meeting in the Rainbow Resource Center, which is room 227 in the Memorial Union. So on this floor, over there, not upstairs.
That's right, but
yeah.
Also, a clarification for Representative Emery for the things regarding the flashing crosswalks, crosswalk signs and the repainting of the crosswalks. The repainting of the crosswalks is something that's gonna already happen this summer. And they're looking into flashing signs as a possibility moving forward as a alternative to the speed bumps proposed.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Community Association reports? If it's the pleasure of the Senate, we'll be entering a 5-minute recess, reconvening at 7:42.
There's only one.
Sorry.
Sometimes they don't stop.
Right. I'm now looking for a motion to enter executive session, so they're smart. Hearing a second, will the clerk now please call the roll?
President Pratt. Here.
VP Shumpert.
Here.
VP Bone. Here. VP Lehman. VP Thompson. Here.
Announcements for any member of UMSG may address the GSS for no more than 5 minutes. Or more.
So I have 4 very quick things to tell you about. I don't know if you caught when I was talking to Dan Demerit, but I thanked him for coming to the Vagina Monologues. That was the event I was hyping up in the Senate chat. He went and none of you guys did, so sit with that. At this event, Toyota ran a raffle where we raised over $100 for our club activities, and I just wanted to brag about that little club success. Next, like I mentioned, when PSL Fang was giving his report, Take Back the Night, which is a support space and advocacy space for survivors of sexual assault, will be happening in the Bang Boardroom at 5 p.m. on Friday, April 24th. During the week leading up to that, Toyota, along with All Maine Women and some collaborators from It's On Us, will be tabling to raise money for rape response services. They are a local nonprofit in Bangor. We'll be doing a craft sale and bake sale, so be sure to check that out and stop by. And then finally, this Friday, April 10th, if you are over the age of 21, Toyota will be hosting an informal OHOP takeover for Girls' Days and Days. So we're welcoming all of our women, all of our queer friends, and all of our allies, because I don't know if you guys have been to OHOP, but it's kind of just full of like straight dudes, and it's kind of scary because they have cowboy hats sometimes. So thank you.
Any more? Any more special orders and announcements? Commissioner Stankovich.
I thought we could always Senator Blatt a happy birthday.
My goodness.
Any more special orders and announcements? President Tripp.
Cabinet in the morning for those that applies to, sorry about it, and also I live here. So I think we should go for Wells at least for a little bit.
Senator Goodstein.
The University Orchestra is hosting their semesterly concert this Sunday at 7:30 in Minsky, so everybody should attend. It's always a pretty good show.
Senator St. Lawrence.
The night walk on April 22nd. We'll once again have free food and energy drinks. I forgot to mention that during my report.
Any more special orders and announcements? DP Fang.
Donate blood at the CPA tomorrow.
Any more? President Tripp.
I brought it from the Senate. I think we talked about this a little bit. I and Vice President Fang or Kurt, I believe, right here, okay, are working on a plan to semi-save the esports arena, and I will give you updates as that comes. But there was a conversation about like fully going away because of the staffing changes, and it doesn't seem like that has to be the case anymore. So something else that I gotta do.
Any more announcements? This Thursday, I have to get my military ID renewed. So my mom's coming up. And I'm giving Mrs. Chandradine a tour of the offices. She was the vice president of student government at the University of Montana in the 80s. And I just like to show her around, and if you want to go by. It's going to be after 11, so noon on Thursday. Any more special orders announcements? Seeing none, is there a motion? No, city clerk, please call the roll.
President Tripp.
Here.
VP Shumpert.
Here.
VP Bone.
Here.
VP Lehman. VP Thompson. Here. VP Fang. Here. Director Erica. Here. Mr. Stankovich.
Here.
Senator Vanderwood. Here. Senator Schultz. Senator Dorn. Here. Senator St. Pierre. Here. Senator St. Lawrence. Here. Senator Lebec. Here. Senator Cowan.
Here.
Senator Centinelo. Here. Senator Inman.
Here.
Senator Dana.
Here.
Senator Ricker. Senator Goodspeed. Here. Senator Blatt. Senator LaMadrid. Senator Oldfield.
Here.
Senator Birchmark.
Here.
Senator Rivera.
Here.
Senator Weber. Here. Senator Seward.
Oh, here.
Senator Soper.
Here.
Senator Zilog. Here. Senator Collmore.
Here.
Senator Sparks. Senator Crowdy. Here. Senator Cummings. Here. Senator Joy.
Here.
Representative Brunner.
Here.
Representative Karpinski. Representative Hancock. Representative Emery. Here. Representative Gamble. Here. Representative Tremblay. Here. Was there a Representative Hancock?
Here.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Reminder to give me until noon tomorrow until you can mention or talk to candidates at all, one way or another. Good night.
Second.